Okay, hi everyone out there. This is Rachel Armstrong. You can access today's presentation at the bit.ly link you see here on the screen. The purpose of today's YouTube live event is to take a look at computer science, specifically what the Hour of Code is, and the upcoming events here at our school, Daniel K. Inouye Elementary, and some resources for teaching and learning programming. So with that being said, again, you can get to today's presentation via the link, and hopefully it will be informative for you. So here we go. According to Google, computer science is a 21st century skill that allows kids to be creators rather than just consumers of technology. It emphasizes problem solving as applicable across disciplines, driving growth and innovation across all sectors of the workforce. And so for me personally, why I think computer science is so necessary in our curriculum is because it utilizes all these skills that we really want to see in our students, and is giving them knowledge in an ever-changing world of technology to be on top of the workforce and to have complex and challenging problems put in front of them and the resiliency and skills to solve them. And I really think that students should look at programming or coding as a language, and it being a language that anyone could learn. This video right here is a resource for you from code.org. It's just a way to get parents and students thinking about programming as a language that needs to be part of our curriculum from younger ages on. So with that being said, I think it's always important to start with the why. We have some upcoming events here at our school to inform you about. So every year we participate in the Hour of Code from code.org. This year, Computer Science Week is December 4th through December 10th. And during that time, we use your technology and or your library time to offer the students the opportunity to participate in an hour of coding online here at school. Your students will have unique logins that you can use to log into code.org, and this will save their progress and you can monitor their progress, and I will be showing you that a little bit later here in the presentation. An event to put into your calendar is the family community event here at the school. It is December 7th from 2:30 to 3:30, and we have some stations that we will be sharing for the families to get involved with coding here at the school. And so right here on this slide, the picture is linked to the stations that right now we are having available for the families. And the really neat thing about this is because I see a question in the audience about what suggestions do you have for getting parents excited about the Hour of Code. And I think the first step would actually be informing of them about the Hour of Code. And this would be a great way if you encourage the students to bring their families out to this event. This would be a great way for the families to see what the students have been doing this Computer Science Week, as well as to participate in coding with their students and kind of see the importance of that and work together to solve some of these problems. So I think that would be an interesting way to involve the parents to begin with. And then from there, I would flesh it out with some more stuff as you learn more about it. Another question that came from the audience is, how long has Daniel K. Inouye Elementary School participated in the Hour of Code? And I believe we began in school year 2013-2014. So it's been a couple years now that we've been participating, and I believe the family event has been running for about 3 years now. So with that being said, if you have questions there, you can always see the media team, which includes Michelle, Megan, or myself, and we can talk to you more as well about what to expect. But I'm going to kind of cover that right now when we look at the tools and resources. So there are so many tools and resources out there. I definitely couldn't cover them all in today's presentation, but I do want to start with code.org. And the reason I want to show you code.org first is because this is what you're going to be using for the Hour of Code. And it has so many activities for teachers and students to learn programming, as well as how to take it beyond the Hour of Code. So let me go ahead and show you from a teacher view. If you were to click on this picture, it's linked to it. But here I am at code.org. And there's breadcrumbs, and it actually can get a little overwhelming. But if you click those breadcrumbs and go to Teach, and you go to Hour of Code. Of course, I'm logged in right now. And then you say try it. What's really neat is they have put together so many resources for a teacher, and a teacher doesn't necessarily have to know how to program or code. You can find all kinds of activities. And so these Hour of Code activities is what we'd like you to try out in your library technology time. And you can sort them. You can sort them by reading level or by grade, by the student's comfort with programming. You can even sort them by what technology you have here available in the classroom, or even perhaps by what topics you cover in your class. But I think what's kind of neat sometimes is to tell, start them out with maybe something you want them to start with, but I've also seen it the opposite way where you allow the students to choose code they want to take part of. And so basically all these activities take approximately an hour. You could do less, but we're shooting for an hour, and you could definitely do more. So if you wanted to give them more time to program, which is the goal. Okay, so Hour of Code activities. And then obviously if you want to go beyond the Hour of Code, which we're hoping for all of us, then that also is available at code.org. And what's really cool about code.org, and I'm going to show you from the teacher perspective and student perspective, is not only does it have the Hour of Code activities, it also provides curriculum for the teacher to use and for the students to use to learn programming. So if you see here, even for any age level beginner, you could go into this and you could find the introduction courses to programming. You can also find other resources as well by just clicking here that can take your students beyond just 1 hour of coding. If your students are a little bit more advanced or ready, you could also see all the resources for JavaScript. So these are different ones for learning that. Or perhaps if you want to look at apps for phones and tablets, and some of these we'll actually view in this presentation today, then your students can also go through code.org's website to find out more about apps, and you can as well. There's tutorials and resources for learning other languages, and even how to make their own apps or games. So as you can see, and I'll just keep scrolling down, but as you can see, code.org has basically put everything together for the teacher so that teachers don't have to find resources. It's all available. And so if I was to scroll back up here and I go back to my main dashboard, and here I am signed in. And if I click on my dashboard, it's going to show me all my class sections. So it's very easy for the teacher to set up a class or multiple classes by clicking Create a New Section. And then the teacher can decide, should the students log in with pictures, words, or a personal login. I kind of like the picture login for all ages in elementary, but that's your choice. And then once you set up your section, you will add students. So I set up a test section for us. And what I really like for teachers, again, with code.org curriculum, I assigned this test class, Course F, which is a setup curriculum that the student can progress through, and I will see their progress and I can keep track of where they're at. What I also like is that I can manage students by adding in students or multiple students, moving students, and you know how you have to always reset their passwords. But one other cool button from up here, and again, you can check these out. The main ones I think I use is progress and managing students. But what I really like for very quick statistics is the stats button. And I think this is a good way to encourage students to see how much they're doing, because they can see how many levels they've completed, as well as how many lines of code they have written. So that's kind of cool. And then if you wanted to see it from a student perspective, this is what a student would see if they logged in. So this is that same tester student. And what that tester student is going to see is what I have assigned, which is Course F. And he can begin, and then he can go in sequence or even out of order. This student also can go over here and can go to something completely different that necessarily isn't Course F. So just to make you aware, they can also go and find the Hour of Code activities. Okay, so again, code.org, a really amazing resource. And I'm going to take a look at the questions in the audience. And it looks like we're talking about in the live chat, we're talking about the Hour of Code at our school. and that we were really lucky because we did begin in 2013, and our librarian got us a $10,000 grant from code.org to support coding at our school, which is even from 2013 on, we've come a long way. So again, learning experiences as we go. Another question in the audience was, can you show us how students can sign in? Sure. So if I go back over here to the student view, and I'll just go ahead and sign out. A student would come here to the class, to code.org, excuse me, click sign in. They would enter the section, or you would have these, let me go back over here, or you would just go ahead and put a link on your class website, and the link would take the student to your class. But here is my code for this test class. And if I was to put it here, I would click go. And then, so again, what would happen is here's the link up at the top that typically for elementary students, I would link this on a class website. That way they would just click this, they would select their name, and then they would select the secret picture that is basically their password. And once they do that, they will click sign in. And once they sign in, they would be able to do their course. So again, from a student view, and then as a teacher, I would be able to monitor from my dashboard view. Okay, so code.org, really amazing resource for the hour of code and beyond. Another tool that I really wanted to showcase today is Google CS First. And so Google CS First is Google's way of bringing tutorials for folks to teach computer science. And what's really cool about it is it's completely set up for a teacher. So you can look at that as a pro and a con. It definitely is highly structured, but you can always modify that to fit your needs. But if you have limited experience with programming, I think it really helps the teacher because it's completely set up. So what happens is you set up a club online, and then you can either access the materials online, but Google CS First also sends you materials. And then, of course, you host the club. And the neat thing is you see these circles here, they have themes. So for instance, they have themes that kids can go through in the club: storytelling, friends, art, etc. And so you can connect this to or integrate coding into the curriculum based off the topic. I could see social media being integrated with when we're talking about digital citizenship, animation and game design. From this eight activity course, the students then could use their knowledge and apply it to any subject area. So this is how it looks from a teacher view. I did this storytelling one here at our school. And again, I can access all the materials, the lesson plans, timers, everything here under this tab. I can set up my club, and it notifies me of all kinds of things. But what I really like is that it provides me the students' stats. And so again, it will show me what they've completed. And down here is really cool because after, and you can see I didn't do this 100% the way it was set out, but you can see the activities survey for the day. And so that's kind of neat because it gives you an idea of where the students stand. So the best thing about Google CS First is all the materials are provided, as well as the students' like a dashboard to view what your students doing is provided. So that's really cool. And from a student view, it looks something like this. So this is the storytelling unit, and this is activity 6 in the storytelling unit. And again, it's looking at teaching the kids a little bit of programming skills, as well as a little bit of a curricular area like storytelling. So in this one, it was focused on bringing your audience in more, so more of an interactive story, an engaging story. And it was focused on the computer concept of conditions. So another neat thing about CS First, and again, this is the student view of it, they will go through a series of tutorial videos following the directions here and the directions in the video to create small projects that lead up to an end project per se. So each theme has eight activities or lessons. And for this one was activity 6. And what's really neat is when they click this starter project, if you're familiar with Scratch, what I like about it is it takes some of the busyness out of the Scratch interface, and the students really just click remix and work on that one project. So there's a little less clicking going on. And so that piece I really like about Google CS First, is it's a good way to start Scratch, so there's a little less on the interface right away for them to see. Of course, they could always find their way to to Scratch homepage, but in my opinion, it's a really nice way to focus Scratch a little bit more. So the view of what that looks like from activity 6 is here's a student project. And again, it's an interactive story using conditions. And so if I click this, it says, should I go through the portal? And if the audience member said yes, then apparently a party goes on. And now let's try no. And something completely different happens, because based off what the student programmed for it to happen, or programmed to happen here, then it's giving the audience basically like a choose your own adventure story. And the kids really enjoyed this lesson. So pretty neat stuff. And again, that is Google CS First, Computer Science First. Okay. Scratch is a great tool. I think this is as you're moving up. So if I were starting out, I'd probably start out with code.org or Google CS First and then move to Scratch. But if you're someone who maybe wants a little bit more of an exploratory method of learning, then I might even say let's bypass those things and we'll just go into Scratch and we'll learn by doing. Now, if you are going to do that, I do suggest that I think this is more grades 3 and up, maybe as young as 2nd grade. I don't know that I'd go much younger than that, depending on your students, obviously. But the best curriculum I have found online is right here. It's linked right here, Creative Computing. It was by some Harvard graduates. And what I really like about it is, again, is this one is laid out for the teacher. It tells me what I need to do each lesson, but again, it's more of an exploratory constructivist approach. So I could see all students getting started and exploring, and then maybe the teacher choosing, does she want her class to focus on animations? I could see that being great for grade 3 stories, which would be awesome and go exactly with grade 4's learning. Maybe games for grade 5 and maybe going up. Or maybe I want to do this throughout my year and this would be my programming curriculum. But again, really amazing, more STEM-based curriculum, creative computing. Also, Scratch obviously has educator resources. There are tutorials and many things that you can look at. Okay, I see some more questions in the audience. So it says, what ages are appropriate for CS First? Okay, so let me back up. CS First is actually meant, according to Google, for grades 4 and up. But I used it with 4th grade class. I'm going to be honest, each lesson took more than one. Well, especially at the beginning, took more than one class session. So it ended up being more than 8 one-hour sessions. But I think it depends on how you schedule it. I could see using Google CS First with as young as 3rd grade. But again, I think these code.org to me would be for all kids. So it has resources for all kids on it. Google CS First is more 3rd grade and up. And Scratch to me is more 3rd grade and up. That's, again, my opinion on the appropriateness level. So let's take a look at, let me see any other, appropriateness of ages. Thank you for that question. You can also see here that I think it kind of leads to things. So what I really want to point out for all the teachers is that looking at programming, yes, it's a skill outside of the curriculum to learn, but it also can be tied into the curriculum. So this is a 4th grade project a 4th grade student did after doing CS First with me in the classroom. Then this student chose to display their learning on energy conservation through programming, which I think is amazing. So just another tool to curate and present their learning with and show their learning in multiple ways. So it says here that we need to collect the sunlight, but not the light bulb. So using the arrow key. So let's try that out. Oh, and not the light bulbs. So again, just another way of looking at presenting my knowledge of what I've learned. Here's another example where a student in 4th grade took what they knew about programming and used it to make an interactive story about multiplication. And here we're looking at conditions. What is 6 times 2? And I think she's got to move her sprite on screen. To make this one more interactive, I might give the student feedback to make some revisions so that the audience is now answering the questions using typing. That would make it a little more interactive. But again, these 2 examples are how we can take coding and introduce it to the students, and then how their love of it takes off and they use it to showcase the curriculum. So I think that's amazing. Let's see. Okay, so that leads us to, I would like to show you some, just a couple apps we have here at the school that you can use with your students. These apps, I think, are actually appropriate for all ages. You could use these from kindergarten up, most of them. But there's Codable, Hopscotch, Scratch Junior, The Foos, Daisy the Dinosaur, and Tinker. And let me show you what that looks like here on the iPads. Okay. All right. So let's pull up my screen. Okay. Hopscotch is a really neat one. And what I like about Hopscotch is it's using logical or sequential directions for students to learn programming. And I actually think this could be even as young as preschool. So we need to get this fluffy ball and we need to make him go in the appropriate directions in a order. So at first, and I'm not showing you the first one because I was having it set up for this today. You see I just drag and drop the sequence over. And then I'm going to press play. And the first one is guided for the students, but this one right here, I'm showing you, was not guided, but I got it. So again, it walks them through lessons. Codable. I'm trying to use sequential directions to get the fuzzy ball where I want it to go, and that is definitely programming. Foos is the Foos by CodeSpark. Is really engaging with its graphics. My son really enjoys this one. Let's see, it might take a little longer to load because of that. Uh-oh. Okay. There we go. But it also takes the students through levels. Let's start here. Apparently it signed me out. Let me see. Hopefully this is the one I signed up with. If it's not, we'll pass. But again, walks them through levels, guides them a little bit here and there, and they have to take their monster. Apparently you can say how age appropriate. And start my free trial. Or it's trying, okay, I've totally messed up. But that's okay. These things happen. Oh, here, okay. As a teacher, maybe I forgot my sign-up information for my son, but you can click Hour of Code, and then it will download. So I think for this one, you don't necessarily have to have an account. The kids can just play it, which is probably better for the iPads at school when necessarily you don't want to put your kids' account information on here. But you can see how cute it is. The police officer is going to try to capture the monster. and you have to program the officer to move. So you drag and drop up the blocks, and then you click on the police officer. And so just like with the other one, you will level up or whatnot as you go. And I think it's just a super cute platform for programming for young ones. So each time, I believe it ups the level of what it wants you to do. And again, all about sequencing and programming. So check that one out, even though I stumbled over it. The Foos by CodeSpark, really cool. And last but not least, Scratch has its own app, another app for younger ones called Scratch Junior. And I think this one could be for the younger grades as well as the upper grades. And it is a drag and drop program that offers many things. So for instance, if I have the flag here and I want the Scratch Cat to go forward maybe 2 steps, and then I want him to turn, and maybe I want to change the background to this. And of course, the kids can do what they want with it, but then I can click the arrow and he turned a little bit. Maybe I would have to specify how much he turns by. Very cool. So a lot of drag and drop programs, a lot of interactive programs for the students to learn programming skills. Let's see. Overall, just many, many options. I think the other thing I wanted to make sure you knew is that we have robots here available at our school. So if you are interested in the robots, you will definitely see these at the family event. We have right here the blue guys, Dash and Dot, who have several apps that go with them. We also have Ozobots that are programmed by coloring different sequences of color lines. They run mainly on black lines, but depending on what the student draws, what color lines the student draws, the robot will do different things. So both of these can be used from K up. But we have these available. So if you're interested in these, please come out to the family event and see what how they're used, play with them, and then talk to the media team here, Michelle, Megan, or myself, and then we can see how we can help you robots in your classroom for curriculum. And with that being said, I'm going to see if there's any questions from the crowd, but I'm going to leave this graphic up here because from Brian and Sylvia here, because I think that we really need to think that coding is something that all our students need, and how can we make it available to them so that they are ready for the world that they are growing up in. So let me take a look at the questions and see if I've missed anything. Oh, I see that Celeste has joined us too. Thank you. This one, you found this hangout. And then grandparents are showing journals, journal posts. They're talking about Seesaw here in the live chat, which is another very good app. That's more of a portfolio app for curating everything. But so many resources. So if you have questions, you can contact Michelle, Megan, or myself. Here's our Twitter feed. And just a lot of really cool stuff. And again, if I had to start at a particular place, I would probably begin with code.org and looking through the resources there, signing up for an account, and seeing what interested me and what might fit for my students. But just so much information out there. So good luck to you all, and we can't wait for our hour of code this year, as well as the family event. And again, that's coming up December 4th through December 9th. So anyways, any other questions out in the audience? Michelle says that she was just thinking that we could capture. Celeste helped her think that we could capture Dash and Dot coding in Seesaw and share it with the parents. So again, that might answer an earlier question as well about how can we make our parents aware of what is out there for the students. How can we make sure that everyone is on the same page with what is available? With so much available, I think that's an important thing to think about. And I think the first step would be making sure that we have the parents, encouraging the parents to come out to the family event and seeing what is available, and how they can take that a step further at their houses, as well as signing our kids up with code.org accounts. That way it saves all their progress and gives them a way to practice at home as well. Anyways, thank you for joining us today, joining me today, and I hope you got some good information out of this and can't wait to get started coding. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.